Hello everyone, my name is Pulkit. Guys, in this video I'll be talking about the structure of Angular project. Guys, this is the one of the most important video of my project. Do not try to miss or skip even a single second of this video. So I'm starting it. Guys, this is the structure that we got after executing the CLI commands, or if you have manually created the uh, project structure. But yes, before starting this, I would like to tell you that we have executed the commands. We in the next second video of my of course, you have seen the commands like ng, new component, or ng generate component, something like that. So what does ng stands for? So as such, there is no full form of the ng, but somebody has poured out the meaning of ng as next generation. Somebody says that in the Angular, that the developers of Angular are very lazy, so instead of writing the Angular, they are simply using this ng. So there are many events of Angular. If we talk about the Angular 1 or the later version after Angular 2, we have the ng repeat, ng on submit, and there are many other events with which the ng is extensively used. So it doesn't have any meaning in itself, but yes, different people have their different meanings, right? So let's start with the our main content, main video. So starting with the structure, guys, this is what the structure we have. So in the source, we will be having a source folder in which there is an app folder. This folder is a root folder that will includes the app.component.cs, app.component.html, app.component.ts. So these three files will be in single components. So whenever I say a component in any application, that means a part of application, a part of page. Let me diagrammatically show you. Give me a second. Guys, okay, let's suppose this is our complete web page. So there can be a different style to create any application. So one of the style that I'm telling you, like this is one of our component that I can say sidebar component, in which there would be an icon here. When somebody click on it, then a sidebar would get open that includes multiple links. Let's say 1 2 3, right, multiple links. And when a user click on this link, it will open a different component here, right? And what I can say, there will be a panel that would also a component that can say as a parent component, and clicking on this one will open component 1. Clicking on 2 will open a component 2 into the panel component, if I say, right? And clicking on 3 open a component 3 in the panel component. So based on our click event, it will be opening a different component into the panel component. So this is the one of the designs. So component, when I say the component means a part to be displayed based on some event. So this is one of the architecture that I saw. Other than that, if I let me clean out this. Sorry, I guess this would be better. Okay, so another, what it is here, what the I'm sorry, what's happening, man? Okay, so another component would be this. Let's suppose there is a header component, will be having multiple links here, let's say 1 2 3. Clicking on each link, it will be displaying, let's say this is component 1. So if not 1, if you're clicking on 2, it will be displaying C2. If not 2, then it will be displaying the C3, right? So this is something how the components getting displayed, and there can be any there can be a complex. This is something that I'm showing the simpler way of showing the components, but this can be there can be a complex architecture based on the requirement. You can design your architecture. So this is how the components get arranged based on your click events. So now let's talk about a component itself. Let's say I have taken one component. Let's say this is the component C1. Now each component that I build, each component will be having a .ts file. TS stands for the typescript file, where we will be writing our logic, all the TypeScript code, and apart from that we'll be having the .css file. In CSS file we'll be writing all the styling code and the HTML code and the HTML file. So in HTML we'll be writing the HTML code specific to the component 1. So all these 3 files will be specific to the component 1 only. So each component that I built, whether it is C1, C2, C3 to till Cn, each component will be having the TypeScript file, the .css file and the HTML file, so that in future if any change happen in any of the component, the maintenance would become easy. Testing becomes easy, maintenance becomes easy, and it is easy to identify, and you can easily extend the code, manage the code basically, right? So this is it. This is what I was trying to say, that these 3 files, .css file, .html and ts file, is used for each component, and this is the root when you create any project. So the app by default will be the root component that would be created. So now this is the root component that is being created to us, the app.component.css, app.component.html, and the app.component.ts. So we will look inside each of these files later on. Let's first see what all other files we have in this structure. Now I'm starting it from the last. The last one is the tsconfig.json. So ts config means the typescript configuration.json. So it's already open here. So you can see that it is something related to the configuration. For example, here they have mentioned what the familiar out directory. So dist is the folder where you have the and files when you build your project to deploy in any external Tomcat folder, or you have to build. So whatever the build file that you build, that would be built in a dist name directory. So this is what it is. Other than that, the familiar one is the EV. EV is the it's a rendering engine that they use. So basically it's a configuration. It has some set of configurations that are used to used by the compiler to compile this Angular project. Moving to the another file, package.json. So guys, this file contains the list of dependencies that has the versioning, right? So each dependency, whether it belongs to the Angular or if there are any third party dependency that you have added to your project, that would also be listed out in this file. And what else to say? Yes, there is a there is an interview question that I was being asked related to this. So you looking at it? This is the version number. Let's first understand this, the versioning of the dependencies. I'm taking out this 9.1.9. So here in this versioning, the first 9 will define the measure versioning. That means the measure functionality is added to this version. This one depicts the minor versioning, and this last 9 depicts the patches. So it means patches means the bugs. Let me write it clearly. Patches means the bugs that we fix later on. So major, minor, and patch mean the bugs that we fix. Okay, so this is the one. This is not the question that was being asked. The question was, what is the difference between this symbol and this symbol? So you see there is this symbol that is being used with this version. So this symbol is known as caret. And the another symbol that is being used, this one, 7.010. So this tilde, this is known as tilde. So the difference between both is, when I say caret 9.1.4, that means that it is compatible to the 9.1.4 version till the next major version. That means it is compatible to 9.1.4 to 10.0.0. See, the next major version is 10 after 9. So it is compatible to 9.1.4 to 10.0.0. Another thing is tilde. So let's take one thing, 2.8.8. Tilde means it is compatible to next minor version. So it will be compatible to 2.9.0. As you see, the next minor version is 9. Right? I hope you got this question. Moving forward, I'll be going to the next file, that is angular.json. So this file will include basically the versioning of your workspace. That will also used for the compilation of the project, right? So you don't have to do much with this. Just include the structure and the versioning and about information about the workspace and metadata and all. Moving forward, styles.css. So guys, this is your global CSS. As I already told you that each component has its .css file, but that .css file is specific to that component only. But this is the global CSS file. So whatever the styling that you are writing to this styles.css file, it will be applicable to all the components. So if there is any styling that is common to all the component, might be panel component or any sort of component that you think that it would be common to every throughout the application, you can write it here. Moving forward, polyfills.ts. So let's see, everything is commented here. See this, IE9, IE10, IE11 requires all of the following. IE10, IE11 require the following ng class support. So basically this polyfills.ts file is used to contains the code that will be used to make the compatibility for the different browser. So like you already seen that i9, i10, so it will be including some code that will be used to make this application compatible to the different browsers. Going forward, main.ts. Let's say this, importing polyfills, enable prod mode, okay, import platform browser dynamic, okay, some API related to browser, import app module. Okay guys, app module, this app.module.ts is another one of the important file. It's a heart of the Angular application. नहीं यार, heart तो यार red होता है. It's heart of the Angular application, because if you have mentioned anything, you created any component or you created anything, you are using any services, if you are not describing that, not mentioning that in the app.module.ts, it will not work. Okay, now going forward, platform browser dynamic dot bootstrap app module, then it will contains the code of ensures the Angular destroys itself on hot upload. So this is the code to destroy itself, and then it is catching the error. Okay, so in this the main thing to say is that it is bootstrapping a module. So you can be having there will be having a different so bootstrap module. Okay, so this is something that it is bootstrapping, it is forwarding your bootstrapping control to this app.module.ts, right? So after reaching this app.module.ts, we'll see the bootstrapping process further. Now moving forward, index.html. So this is, we already know that this is the main application already of any application. The conventional application, if we talk about index.html, is the main one that we open. Okay, and this is the main application. So the main thing that we need to see this my app, right? So this is the first file that get loaded, and it contains this selector. Guys, this is called a selector, and this selector is of main application. So this my app is a selector of the root component that will be described in this app.component.ts. We'll see it in few minutes. Okay, going forward, hello.component.ts. So this is the another different component that is being created. Okay, and let's see this. Import component input from Angular core. Guys, this is the most important package. Many useful APIs get imported from this Angular core project and here we are using the component and the input. So guys, this annotation @component includes three things: selector, template, and style. So hello is simply the selector that can be used anywhere. Like just few minutes back we look at the index.html where the root selector is used, my app. But if you use the hello selector over there, then this component will be loaded and will be displayed. So this is just to embed the component. Template means the HTML file. So here they have directly written the code, but if you have a larger code, you can describe the template URL here, and you can write the HTML file in this. Similarly, the styles, just a one line code, so they have written here, but you can write the style URL, and you can create a different style file and give a link here. So similarly the template URL, right? So select, apart from selector, we can create the template file and the style file. Now at the rate component, this component, at the rate component, let's see this annotation. So it tells the compiler of the Angular that this particular class is a component. It's a metadata, it contains a metadata that tells the compiler that this class is a component class. How we are describing it, how we are exporting it, we are writing the component class by name export class, the name of the component, and then this is the annotation that is used for the communication between the component, that we'll also see later. For now let's skip it. So just focused on this at the rate component, a new component is being created. Let's move further. app.module.ts. Guys, this is the, what I say, the heart of the Angular application. Imported the ng module from Angular core. Okay, browser module, forms module that will be used to create forms. App.component, okay, root component imported. Hello component, okay, custom component important. Ng module, it contains a metadata that tells that this is the app module.ts file. Imports, guys, this import whatever the APIs, whatever the modules, whatever the APIs that you want to use in your project, you have to import those into this imports, right? If you are not using it here, it will not be, you will not be able to use it in the project. Next is the declaration. Guys, if you have created any custom component or any custom component, you have to declare in this declaration part, otherwise it would not be, you will getting an error while using that. Third is the bootstrap. Guys, bootstrap, that means which component will be bootstrapped, that means which component would be loaded first, started first. And the next is the export class app module. Okay, this is the syntax. Moving forward, app.component.ts. Similarly, at the rate component, metadata that tells that this is a component. Okay, this is a component having a selector myapp. We already seen that in index.html this selector is used. That means index is the first file that get loaded, so it contains a selector of this app component, so this component will get loaded. Template URL app component.html. so this app component having this HTML file, right, and also has the .css file that is present in this style URLs, and HTML in this template URL. Next is export class app component, simply defining a variable name equals to Angular and a version.measure. Okay, fine. Moving forward, app.component.html. Simple HTML code is there. This is called as interpolation. We are simply displaying the variable that we have defined in the app.component.ts. So you can access it within the same component, you can access it and it will be displayed. So name, let's see what was the name. Name is equal to angular plus version.measure. So version.measure means